Hey guys, F Train here. It's Monday morning and only 2 days to go before the AP exam. So I thought I would just go over some last minute stuff to make sure that you know what to do. All right. So I'm going to share a few things with you. I'll attach a few documents to this announcement as well. All right. All right. First thing is if you look on here, the exam is at noon. Okay. Um, 2 days before, which is today, Monday, you should be getting an email with your APID and an e-ticket. Okay. Um, you'll on 30 minutes before the start of the exam on Wednesday. So that means 11:30 a.m. You will click a link on your e-ticket and fill in some information. Okay. um, and then you'll be kind of like in a waiting room. It'll tell you how long until the exam begins, and then you'll see your first question, and it'll show 30 minutes. At the end of like 25 minutes, I think, it will turn red, and that means you have 5 minutes to submit your answer. Okay. And then you'll have, once you've submit question number one, you'll see a 20-minute timer, 15 minutes to read and work it out, and then 5 minutes to submit it. Again, after 15 minutes, it'll turn red, and then you'll have 5 minutes to submit it. Three ways to submit. You can either make a text file. So in other words, you can do it in, Google Docs or whatever, and then cut and paste it. Or you could just, type it in. Or you could, do it on a piece of paper, take a picture with your phone, and then, I guess email that to yourself. But I guess if you're doing it on your phone, that's probably the best way. That's probably the time you'd want to do that. But I'll talk a little bit about the questions, and that might help you to figure that out a little bit. All right. So a couple things here required. You'll need your e-ticket, your exam day checklist. So you might want to look that up. I'll send you this doc anyway. Check off your exam day checklist. Make sure you have everything. You'll need your device, either laptop, tablet, smartphone, or a computer. Browser, Chrome, which they recommend, or Firefox, Safari, or Edge. Internet connection, obviously. If you need an assisted technology device, and then you can download the AP2 table in the equation sheet, right? And there's kind of a new one. I don't know if it's any different, but I have a new one that you can get on this clip. Okay. You may use your notes. It's open book basically. Okay. You can use your textbook. You can use old homeworks. You can use your calculator. Basically, you do whatever you want. However, I will say that the way they are designing this exam is it's not going to be probably all that useful to use your book. It might help in some cases, but in a lot of cases, I think you'll spend more time hunting around. They're going to want you to be able to just explain a lot of stuff. You're not going to be using a lot of formulas, I don't think. You might for parts of the exam, but in a lot of cases you'll be just doing a lot of explaining stuff, and not a lot of deriving equations and things. So they want it to be so that you can't really communicate with other people, and it won't really help that much. So all right, and so you're going to see this first question. The first question will assess your ability to translate between quantitative and qualitative justification and reasoning. So, like a question where they might be, showing you, an equation, and then you'll look at that equation and say, okay, well, what happens if you increase the current? What happens to the power? That kind of thing. So being able to look at an equation and being able to explain it, basically, that kind of thing. Okay. Um, Second question is going to be a paragraph, argument, or short answer. So in other words, the first question I think will have like a bunch of parts, and you'll have little explain this, explain that, explain the other thing, okay? The other one is a paragraph, argument, or short answer. Assesses your ability to create paragraph length responses, which consists of coherent arguments about a physics phenomenon. So this would be one of those types of questions, maybe where, you know, you have an argument between two students, you know, Johnny says this, Joe says this, you know, who do you agree with and why, that kind of stuff. All right. Remember only units 1 through 5. So no waves, no modern physics, okay? Let's see, sample questions. I think I sent this to you the other day, but you can, you know, click on this. I'm going to send you this whole thing here. Okay. Yeah, so this is that sample question thing that I sent. Again, you know, I mean, they're giving you an electrostatics problem here and a fluids problem. Now, does that mean that those are going to be the two questions, an electrostatics and a fluid problem? I don't know. You know, is it a hint? I don't know. But let's just look at some of these questions and how they ask them, just to maybe. So you hear, you know, you got these, and you guys did this. I think this was Jeff Train and M-Dub's problem. But if you just look at some of the questions, you know, indicate the value of the potentials. Okay, that's a sort of a pretty objective thing. But then explain your reasoning. So you have to be able to explain. Compare this, which is greater, but justify. So you have to be able to explain why the isolines have a similar shape. You know, so a lot of it is explain, explain, explain. The last thing I'll go over is this AP 2020 exams, 5 steps to get ready. This is sort of generic for all the exams, but there's a video tour. So you might want to watch that little video, which kind of summarizes what I've told you here, summarizes, reviews the way to submit your exam responses. And then it also gives you an interactive exam demo, all right? So where you'll actually kind of like practice writing and submitting. That way you're not, you know, and I would definitely do that, because you don't want to be figuring out during the exam, you know, how to submit and that kind of stuff. You want to have practice that ahead of time. All right. You know, review your exam checklist, make sure you download your you know, your equation sheet, etc. And confirm your email address. Obviously, you don't want them to send your thing to the wrong email, okay? Again, your e-ticket will be emailed to you today sometime, okay? It will include your AP ID, which you will need. It will include the start time. It's 12 o'clock, but remember, half hour ahead of time is when you're supposed to check in. And view a sample e-ticket, you can do that. Check in early. This is, you know, what you're supposed to do when you check in. Again, exam day checklist. So definitely go through these 3 documents that I'm going to send you. Let's see, this one, I'm going to send you this one, sample questions, etc., or you know, the thing specific to the Physics 2 exam. And what's that other thing? Hold on. Oh yeah, and then these sample questions, which I had already sent you, right? So I'll attach those to this announcement, and let me know if you have any questions. I'll be around. Just email me any questions you have about anything. You know, if there's specific, you know, topics that you are still struggling with, let me know. I can even throw together a couple short videos or whatever if you think there's specific things that need to be addressed. Okay. So hopefully you guys are going to be all ready and prepared. You know, might want to just they might ask you, well, they haven't really said this, but they might ask you to, like, design a lab experiment to test something. You might want to kind of think about the different units that we've used. And, we did a lot of these online labs, FET labs and things like that. So think about what equipment you might use. For example, like if you had a fluids problem and you wanted to test buoyancy, what would you need? You'd need like a tank, some water, an object to drop in, maybe a spring scale to measure the tension in the string, because you'd have the tension pulling up and then gravity and buoyant force would be pulling up. So just think through some of the different types of labs. Maybe if it was a circuits lab, think you would need some resistors or light bulbs. You need like a battery or power supply. Maybe you need an ammeter and a voltmeter. Think about how you might set something up like that to test. Like, will you get more current in the battery in a parallel circuit or a series circuit? And think about how you might test that. All right. So anyway, like I said, give me a shout if you have any questions, and I hope this goes great for you guys. I know this is definitely going to be a little different than normal, but it is what it is, and everybody's in the same boat. So it should be doable. I mean, it's a 45-minute exam versus a 3-hour exam, so that in some ways that's kind of nice, right? And you can do it in the comfort of your home with your, you don't have to worry about, like, you can't use water bottles and all that stuff. So open book. All right. Well, anyway, have a great day. And like I said, let me know if you have any questions. Over.